The boardroom was tense. Ahmed Al-Fayez, arabbillionaire and CEO of one of the largest investment firms in London, paused mid-step, staring at the new employee who had just entered for her orientation. Something about her, the curve of her jaw, the tilt of her eyes, the faint resemblance in her smile, froze him in place. His heart raced. This wasn't possible. The girl standing in front of him, confident, polite, and completely unaware, was identical to his long-lost son, Karim, who had vanished nearly 20 years ago under mysterious circumstances. The city lights outside the skyscraper reflected off the glass walls, but inside, time seemed to slow. Ahmed's mind flooded with memories. The last night he saw Karim, the sudden disappearance, the years of unanswered questions. And now, here she was, not a boy, but a young woman, her presence stirring something deep within him that he hadn't felt in decades, hope and fear intertwined. He cleared his throat, forcing a calm he did not feel. "Welcome to Al-Fayez Industries," he said, his voice steady though his pulse thundered in his ears. "I'm Ahmed Al-Fayez." She smiled politely. "Thank you, sir. I'm Amara Benson. I'm excited to start." Ahmed studied her every movement, the way she adjusted her blazer, the subtle tilt of her head. Every gesture mirrored Karim's mannerisms perfectly. Could it truly be coincidence? Or had fate played a cruel joke only to offer redemption? Later that day, Ahmed retreated to his private office, the city sprawling endlessly behind him. He pulled out an old photo album, fingers trembling as he traced the face of young Karim. And then he looked at Amara, sitting politely at the reception desk, oblivious to the storm she had just unleashed in Ahmed's heart. Every line of her face mirrored his son's, the eyes, the nose, the same faint scar above the left eyebrow. Ahmed's assistant knocked lightly. "Sir, are you all right?" Ahmed shook his head, struggling to find words. "I need to know her story. Everything. Where she came from, her family, her past. This resemblance, it cannot be ignored." Over the next few days, Ahmed watched Amara discreetly. He observed her habits, her speech, her small gestures. Every detail deepened the mystery and the undeniable connection. Meanwhile, Amara continued her work, unaware of the storm her presence had triggered. She was efficient, brilliant, and humble, a perfect employee, unaware that she was being scrutinized not for her work, but for the uncanny similarity to a boy lost decades ago. Finally, Ahmed decided to confront the truth directly. One evening, he invited Amara to his office under the pretense of discussing her first-week performance. She entered, polite and professional, unaware that this meeting would change both their lives. Ahmed gestured to a chair, but didn't sit. "Amara, I need you to be completely honest with me. Do you know anything about your family history, anything unusual about your early childhood?" Amara tilted her head, confused. I don't think so, sir. My parents told me I was adopted, but that's all I know." Ahmed's pulse quickened. Adoption. Could it be that Karim, his lost son, had survived, had been hidden or misplaced, and now stood before him, grown and unaware? He swallowed hard. "Would you be willing to take a DNA test?" he asked quietly, almost afraid of the answer. Amara's eyes widened. DNA test. "Yes," Ahmed said, his voice trembling with hope and fear. "It's very important. For your own family history. I need to know the truth." And with that, the first step toward an earth-shattering discovery had begun. Ahmed Al-Fayez, the man accustomed to controlling empires, wealth, and influence, realized that some truths, the ones closest to the heart, could not be managed, only revealed. 3 days later, the DNA results arrived, sealed in an unassuming envelope. Ahmed's hands shook as he tore it open. His eyes scanned the lines of data, then froze. The probability was undeniable. Amara Benson was, in fact, biologically his child. Not Karim as he remembered, but a daughter he had never known existed. The revelation hit him with the force of a tidal wave. Years of grief, guilt, and unanswered questions collided with an overwhelming surge of love and disbelief. He sank into his chair, gripping the edge of his desk, struggling to breathe. This girl, whom he had barely noticed amid the daily operations of his empire, was his flesh and blood. And worse, she had grown up entirely unaware of her lineage. He thought back to the day Karim disappeared. A carefully orchestrated kidnapping by a rival faction within his family's business empire had separated him from the child he loved most. That event had haunted him for decades, shaping every decision, every relationship. And now fate had returned what was lost, but in a form he had never imagined, a daughter raised far from his wealth, humble, resilient, and wholly untainted by the world he controlled. Ahmed knew he had to act carefully. He could not simply announce the truth. He had to earn her trust, approach her gently, and allow her to choose her own path. The same empire that had been built with iron and gold now required the softer power of patience, empathy, and moral courage. That afternoon, he called Amara into his office again. Her expression was cautious, yet curious. "You asked for the test results," she said softly. Did something come up?" Ahmed inhaled deeply, steadying himself. "Amara, the results show that you are my child. My daughter. I know this is shocking. I do not expect you to feel anything immediately, but I wanted you to know the truth." Amara's eyes went wide. She instinctively stepped back, then sat down, her hands trembling slightly. I don't understand. How is this possible? I grew up in foster care, my parents, everything I was told." Ahmed leaned forward, voice gentle yet firm. "There were mistakes, deceptions, and dangerous people involved. When you were born, you were taken from me under circumstances I couldn't control. I've searched for you every day of my life. And now, here you are." Tears welled in her eyes. She looked at the man who had, until this moment, been her employer, not her father. You're saying I'm your daughter?" "Yes," Ahmed whispered. "And I want to be in your life. Not to replace anyone or to demand anything from you, but to finally be honest. To finally protect you. To finally be a father to you." Amara blinked, absorbing the gravity of the revelation. For decades, she had believed her identity was defined by hardship, adoption, and survival. Now, the truth threatened to upend everything she thought she knew about herself. Yet beneath the shock, there was a flicker of recognition, a resemblance she had never understood until now. Over the next few days, Ahmed moved carefully. He respected Amara's space, invited her to private dinners, shared family memories selectively, and recounted stories of Karim, his past life, and his regrets. Slowly, a bond began to form, fragile yet undeniable. Amara saw the man behind the empire, the father who had been lost to her for years, and Ahmed saw the daughter who had survived, thrived, and reflected the resilience of her bloodline. The world outside, the skyscrapers, the boardrooms, the empires, continued to function. But inside, in these quiet moments of connection, a new chapter of family, redemption, and discovery was beginning to unfold. Ahmed realized that power without love, influence without connection, and wealth without family were hollow. This daughter, his daughter, had changed everything. Amara spent the next few days in a daze, moving through the office as if she were sleepwalking. Everything felt surreal. The realization that Ahmed Al-Fayez, the man she had known only as her employer, was her father. Her mind raced with questions. Why had she been taken? Why had he not found her sooner? And how could her life have changed so dramatically in just a few days? Ahmed, sensing her inner turmoil, approached carefully. "Amara," he said softly one evening, "I cannot erase the past, but I can protect your present and your future. You have every right to be angry, confused, or even afraid. I only ask that you let me show you that my intentions are genuine." Amara looked up, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "I don't even know how to feel," she admitted. "I grew up thinking my life was ordinary, and now everything has shifted. You're my father? I barely even know you." Ahmed nodded. "I know. And I will not demand your love or trust. I will earn it. I will be patient, as any father should be." But patience alone was not enough. Within the Al-Fayez empire, whispers began to circulate about the sudden appearance of Amara Benson. Certain rivals, long bitter over Ahmed's dominance, saw an opportunity to destabilize him. One evening, Ahmed received an encrypted message: "The girl is a liability. Remove her before she exposes the family." The threat chilled him. It wasn't just about Amara discovering her lineage. Some people within his own business circle were willing to act violently to protect secrets and maintain control. Ahmed realized that reconnecting with his daughter also meant defending her from enemies who would stop at nothing. He called Malik Idris, his most trusted advisor. "Prepare a protective detail," Ahmed instructed. "Discreet. No one should know. She is my daughter, and she will not be harmed. Not by anyone." Malik nodded. "Understood, sir. We'll monitor all threats, and I'll personally oversee her safety." The following week, Amara was escorted home under heavy discreet protection. As she stepped into her apartment, Ahmed stood silently nearby, watching her adjust to a world she had never known. "I will keep you safe," he said simply. "Every day, every moment, until you are certain that nothing can harm you." Amara blinked, a mixture of gratitude and disbelief washing over her. You really mean that?" Ahmed nodded, his eyes unwavering. "Every word. You are my daughter, Amara, and I will not fail you again." That night, he sat alone in his office, overlooking the city. The lights reflected off the skyscrapers like 1,000 stars, yet the brilliance of the city could not match the gravity of what he felt. Amara was alive, and she was his. But the threats lurking within his empire reminded him that wealth and power were double-edged. They could protect, but they also attracted danger. Ahmed clenched his fists, a silent vow forming in his mind: "No one will harm her. Not now, not ever. I will face any enemy, dismantle any threat, and prove that true power lies in protecting those you love." The next morning, Ahmed's private security team intercepted a suspicious call intended for Amara. It was subtle, an invitation disguised as a meeting offer, but the tone, the coded language, left no doubt. Someone inside the Al-Fayez empire was plotting against her. Ahmed's jaw tightened. This was no longer just about revelation and reunion. It was about survival. He summoned Amara to his office, the city skyline sprawling behind him. "There are people who wish to harm you," he said gravely. "Not outsiders, people within my own circles who see your existence as a threat. I will not let them. You will be protected, every moment, every step." Amara's eyes widened. "Inside the company? But why? I haven't done anything." Ahmed shook his head. "It's not about what you've done. It's about what you represent. Your presence exposes secrets, weaknesses, and past mistakes. Those who fear exposure will act without hesitation." Amara swallowed hard, feeling a mix of fear and awe. I never imagined life could be like this. One day, I'm just living my life. The next, I'm suddenly part of a family empire, targeted for things I never even knew existed." Ahmed stepped closer. "I know it's overwhelming. But you are strong, Amara. Stronger than you realize. And I will teach you how to navigate this world. Not to manipulate, not to dominate, but to protect yourself and wield influence responsibly." That evening, Ahmed arranged a secure location for them both, a private penthouse far from prying eyes. Amara marveled at the luxury, but more than that, she sensed the care and planning behind every detail. Ahmed was not flaunting wealth, he was ensuring safety and control in a world that suddenly felt threatening. As they sat together, Ahmed shared stories of his empire, his struggles, and the long-lost son he had mourned for decades. He spoke not as a CEO, but as a father trying to connect, to explain choices made under pressure, and to show that his love had never wavered. Amara listened, absorbing the truth, the history, and the gravity of her father's life. She began to understand not only who she was, but also the stakes involved in being part of this family. Her own resilience, shaped by years of hardship, now had to merge with new responsibilities: trust, influence, and survival. The following days were a whirlwind of trust-building exercises. Ahmed taught Amara to read threats, anticipate betrayal, and assert herself within the empire's labyrinthine corridors. She proved to be perceptive, sharp, and courageous, traits inherited from him and, in surprising ways, from the mother she barely remembered. Then came the first test. A rival executive attempted to manipulate events to discredit Ahmed's management and unsettle Amara. Ahmed and his team acted immediately, protecting her while exposing the conspirator. Amara watched, realizing that her father's power was not just wealth, but decisiveness, strategy, and moral courage. That night, Amara turned to Ahmed. I can't believe how much danger there was, even inside the company. And you protected me. You didn't just save me, you taught me how to navigate this world. Ahmed smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and relief. You have always been strong, Amara. But strength paired with knowledge, caution, and integrity makes you unstoppable. And now you understand, family isn't just about love. It's about protection, responsibility, and accountability. Outside, the city hummed quietly, unaware of the life-altering revelations, the lurking dangers, and the new bond forming between a father and daughter reunited. Ahmed knew the journey was far from over. Threats would come, loyalties would be tested, and the full weight of the empire could not be ignored. But for the first time, he felt confident that together, he and Amara could face anything. 2 days later, the threat became impossible to ignore. One of Ahmed's longtime rivals, a cunning executive named Hassan Raheel, made a brazen move. He leaked sensitive company information to the press, intending to tarnish Ahmed's reputation and destabilize the empire. The target of his scheme wasn't just Ahmed, it was Amara, whose existence and resemblance to Ahmed's lost son could be used to manipulate the narrative. Ahmed's office became a war room. Screens displayed news alerts, emails, and video feeds. His eyes were sharp, calculating, every muscle tensed with focus. "We act tonight," he said firmly to his security and legal team. "No leaks. No mistakes. Hassan Raheel underestimates us, and he will pay for it." Amara, observing quietly, felt a rush of adrenaline. For weeks, she had been learning how to navigate the empire, but now she would see her father in action. This was the man whose power was not in intimidation alone, but in precise, calculated action guided by principle. That evening, Ahmed confronted Hassan in his private office. The executive, confident in his supposed leverage, smirked at the billionaire's calm demeanor. "I hear you've discovered my little game," Hassan said, voice dripping with arrogance. Ahmed's gaze was unwavering. "You threatened my family. You threatened my daughter. And you thought that would go unpunished." Hassan laughed, attempting to mask fear. "She's just an employee. Nothing more." Ahmed stepped closer, voice low but powerful. "She is my daughter. And anyone who harms her will answer to me, legally, morally, and personally. You overestimated your influence. Now you will see what true accountability looks like." By the end of the night, Hassan's schemes were exposed, his alliances dismantled, and his threats neutralized. Amara watched silently, awestruck. She realized that her father's wealth and status were only tools. The real power lay in decisiveness, moral courage, and the unwavering protection of those he loved. Later, Ahmed turned to Amara. "You've seen how the world operates, both its dangers and its opportunities. But remember this, power alone is meaningless. Influence alone is hollow. What matters is the integrity with which you wield them, and the protection you provide to those who cannot protect themselves." Amara nodded, finally accepting the full weight of her identity. She was no longer just an employee or a bystander. She was Ahmed's daughter, a member of a powerful family, and a person capable of navigating a complex world with resilience, courage, and moral clarity. The following weeks were calm but transformative. Amara gradually assumed more responsibility, her confidence growing under Ahmed's guidance. The bond between father and daughter deepened, built not on wealth or privilege, but on trust, mutual respect, and shared experiences. Ahmed marveled at her resilience, her intelligence, and the quiet strength that mirrored his own. For Ahmed, the journey had been about more than reunion. It was a lesson in patience, accountability, and the weight of legacy. For Amara, it was about discovering her roots, embracing her identity, and learning to navigate a world she had never known. Together, they were stronger, a father and daughter, united not just by blood, but by moral courage, protection, and love. The climax came quietly, yet with the intensity of a storm. Ahmed had called Amara to the family estate on the outskirts of London, a place of privacy, reflection, and control. The estate had always been a sanctuary for him, a place where difficult decisions could be made without interference. Tonight, it would witness the final reconciliation, the full embrace of family, and the assertion of moral authority. Ahmed stood on the balcony overlooking the gardens, city lights twinkling in the distance. Amara approached, calm but determined. "Father, I've been thinking," she began, her voice steady, "about everything I've learned, everything I've seen. I'm not just your daughter biologically. I want to take responsibility too, for my own actions, for my role in this family, and for making sure nothing like the past ever repeats." Ahmed's eyes softened, pride mingled with relief. "You've grown into someone remarkable, Amara. Courage, responsibility, and integrity, these are the traits that define us, not wealth or influence." Just then, a final attempt to undermine the family emerged. Hassan Rahil's allies had tried to exploit the revelation of Amara's identity once more, spreading rumors in the media. But Ahmed had anticipated it. With calculated precision, he publicly revealed the truth, not just of Amara's lineage, but of the threats, lies, and corruption propagated by those who sought to destabilize the family. The press coverage shifted immediately. Instead of scandal, the headlines praised the billionaire's courage in exposing the truth, protecting his daughter, and demonstrating accountability. Amara watched, amazed. She realized that power paired with conscience could not be manipulated, only respected. That night, father and daughter walked through the estate gardens. Silence enveloped them, broken only by the gentle rustle of leaves. Ahmed placed a hand on her shoulder. "Amara, life has given us a second chance. You could have resented me, feared me, or even rejected this family. But you chose to learn, to grow, and to embrace responsibility. That is true strength." Amara nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. I understand now. This isn't just about family or wealth. It's about protecting what matters, doing what's right, and standing up even when it's difficult." Ahmed smiled, the weight of decades lifting from his shoulders. "Exactly. And together, we will ensure that legacy is defined not by fortune alone, but by courage, integrity, and the protection of those we love." The city beyond shimmered, indifferent to the transformation that had taken place. But within the estate walls, a father and daughter had forged a bond stronger than wealth, stronger than influence, stronger than fear itself. True power is measured not by fortune, status, or control. It is measured by courage, integrity, and the willingness to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Ahmed Al-Fayez's journey demonstrates that wealth without conscience is hollow, and influence without moral responsibility is fragile. Family, identity, and justice are intertwined with the choices we make, the risks we take, and the protection we provide to the innocent. Amara's story reminds us that even in a world of deception, rivalry, and hidden threats, truth and courage can restore what was lost, reconcile what was broken, and forge a legacy that transcends wealth and power. Power paired with conscience, love tempered by responsibility, and courage guided by principle. These are the marks of true legacy, the kind that lasts far beyond the shimmer of gold or the weight of a name.